Welcome back to the show, everyone. Summertime, of course, is great for all of us, but there are a lot of things you have to be aware of if you have a doggy in your life in terms of weather and the impact on them, and of course all the smart things you can do to make their summers as good as yours.
And we're joined now by the editor-in-chief of Best Friends magazine, Mary Jo Dionne. You've met her before with special guest star,
my assistant,
Cowboy.
Now, for people who haven't been introduced to Cowboy before,
what's his deal?
Talk about Cowboy's a piece of work in general.
I would like to use the entire segment on Cowboy. We'll talk pet safety. I'll just send you an email later about pet safety. So Cowboy's our dude. We think he's probably 15 or so. We rescued him about 13 years ago. Has no hearing, no vision whatsoever, but couldn't be happier. And as you pointed out,
he looks really happy right now.
Hey, you have such
Your
Cowboy
dog is
envy.
obnoxious today, and Cowboy didn't even notice.
She called my dog a girl.
Well, hello.
So Cowboy's a dude.
Cowboy's a dude, and he has the like Chewy could not wear this.
No.
Fiona's
No.
Chewy could not wear this.
I will do that.
Chewy would look
totally.
like a girl, and that Cowboy still looks like a bro.
But you know when you're like in Europe and you see the guys in the pink because they can
rock
pull it off?
Yeah.
Cowboy's like
That's Cowboy.
He's part
Okay,
Belgian.
let's talk about heat and pets.
Yeah.
Belgian.
I don't know where that came from.
Pink.
Like he drinks a lot
Of all the
beer.
European countries you could choose
Yeah, I
from.
have an affinity for Antwerp.
Part Belgian.
So I was walking downtown
Oh.
and I saw two
No, you
pit
didn't.
bulls in a car.
Oh, I knew where that story was
And
going.
I didn't know what to do. Okay, so first of all, we will get to not leaving your pets in a car, but if you see pets in a car on a hot day, what should you do?
I am pumped that you started with that because I attract that situation myself. I can't go anywhere without finding a dog in a car. And I think a lot of us feel exactly how you did, totally disempowered. It actually does qualify as a police emergency because you have about 10 minutes from, and gosh only knows how long they were already in there for.
Yeah.
That dog, and if there's two, double the, say 5 minutes literally, before irreparable brain damage and ultimately death.
What would you do if you saw a kid in the back of a car? You
all
should
the
do
time.
exactly the same
Exactly.
thing if you see a dog
And
in the
people
back
say,
of
well,
a
I
car.
left
Totally
my
right.
windows open,
Oh
but
my
maybe
gosh,
you can
irrelevant.
explain how the heat outside
Yeah.
and the heat in the car and how a dog can't cool itself down, how that works.
Exactly. Okay, so basically, even on a moderate day, your car does become somewhat of an oven. Exactly. So leaving a crack open is irrelevant. So outside it might be 24 degrees. Inside your car it might be 44 degrees. And a dog requires the ability to keep their internal body temperature down by panting and all that. Well, the upholstery is going to be hot, all the rest of it. So you literally are dealing with about 10 minutes. And the other thing I wanted to say, 911, do it. I've done it, and I'm dramatic, of course. I'd rather just throw a brick through the window, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But I try to restrain myself. 911. The other thing is the SPCA, BC SPCA does have an emergency hotline. The number that I have here
We've got
is
it on the screen
Vancouver area only.
Yeah, but you can just Google it.
Yeah, you got it. So Vancouver area only, that's their emergency hotline, but all local BC SPCAs have that emergency hotline. So personally, I would program that number into my iPhone.
And if they can't get out, I know because we've talked about it, if they can't respond to that, they will refer to the police as well on your behalf.
They
and make
totally
sure the
will.
animal's taken care of.
Okay, let's talk about pets and heat stroke in general. I mean, you
Yeah.
want to take your dog outside, but we did a couple weeks ago have some really hot days.
Yeah.
How do you make sure that they're not going to get heat stroke?
Well, you know what? I think the first thing we want to consider with dogs, sort of like kids, is who is your dog, okay? So, for example, Cowboy tends to be on the senior citizen side.
Right. He wants to chill.
He's looking to chill. So even if I'm really eager about doing this power hike, it's probably not in Cowboy's best interest. So think about who your dog is, an older dog or an
They
overweight.
just got to the best shot of Cowboy.
So just keep it there for the
Don't
rest
worry,
of the
Cowboy
segment.
is totally over long walks, trust me. And breed of dog as well,
Yes.
because their breathing is different
Yes.
depending on the breed and how they can actually assimilate and get rid of heat.
You're
as well.
completely right. So breeds today that are super popular, pugs, Boston Terriers, bulldogs.
Bad nose.
Yeah, pushed in nose. It's called something scientific like Brachycephalica or something.
Pushed in face.
No, I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Brachycephalica.
Brachycephalica. You can quote me on that. They don't have much capacity to breathe in and out with their lungs as they are at the best of times. So they're not really built for speed, and they're certainly not built for heat. So when I see someone running at 2 in the afternoon around the seawall with their Boston Terrier, I'm like,
Stop running.
not really. Get a border collie.
Yeah, or leave your puppy at home in a nice...
and they're okay with that. So the first thing you want to consider is who is your dog, and then the second thing you might want to consider too is where can you take your dog to hang out. That's actually a summertime pet-friendly place. And I just discovered this thing on the interweb called the Google. And apparently...
Did you put on your Google goggles?
I need a pair of Google goggles.
Can you Google off-leash parks, etc.?
You totally can on the Google. Vancouver Board of Parks and Rec has dozens of off-leash parks. And I stress, if you want to be an off-leasher, go to the off-leash parks.
Yeah.
If you're not going to be an off-leasher, obey the leash laws. You're going to prevent your dog biting a kid, a dog fight,
Yeah.
and then my number one nightmare is wildlife swooping in and getting your little monkey.
You know how many people have told me that having a little tiny dog,
Yeah.
and it's not an urban myth, is it?
Yeah,
It
no,
is
it's like
not an
eagles,
urban-
hawks, cougars, coyotes.
Yeah,
I mean,
our border collie had an altercation with a cougar, which is always fun, and I was really glad Chad had Nellie, the border collie, and not Cowboy, because Nellie actually won in this altercation. Cowboy probably, likely, wouldn't have fared so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, owls especially too. Chewy would
Really?
be very attractive to an owl.
it's amazing.
scary.
Something to think about when you're, if you are cabining during the summer as well. I know a couple of people that have lost their dogs to eagles when they're out on patios, because you don't think of it, right? It's a beautiful country setting. You let your dog out on the porch.
I know, and it was really funny in the movie The Proposal, but apparently in real life it would be less funny.
Yeah.
Remember Betty White and Sandra Bullock? I was like,
Yeah, they'd make anything funny, right? Oh,
that's
death.
hilarious.
Anything else we should know about summertime and our pets?
I think when we talk about the finding a dog in a car, if you ended up sadly being the owner who created that cardinal sin and you got out in time and your dog is exhibiting the signs of heat stroke and heat exhaustion, which would be excessive panting, almost purple tongue, perhaps vomiting, and ultimately collapse, the thing that we're all inclined to do is picture taking that dog and throwing it like in a tub of cold water. Do not do that. What you want to do is gradually lower the internal body temperature of your dog. So it's a matter of taking a cold cloth on the ears, the pads of the feet, and the abdomen, and then just get it to the vet ASAP. Because even when that dog seems like it's doing okay, ultimately there's some weird stuff going on inside.
Right.
And that's
Just
another-
like with people when you get heat stroke.
You
Yeah.
mentioned pads on the feet too, and on a hot, sunny day,
Yes, thank
think about
you.
your dog's
You're
paws
right.
being in contact with the concrete
You're totally
and how
right.
hot that gets.
Unless your dog's really hip and wearing like some funky Nikes, keep your dog, be aware of the fact
I would call the
that
police on that.
that's a 911.
So
that
if
is
that
also
dog
a
is in
police
some
emergency.
Nikes.
Seriously. And you know what? One last thing, because you were talking about celebration of light at one
Oh,
point.
fireworks.
We love them. Next to Halloween, that is like the dog's biggest nightmarish occurrence everywhere. So
So
just
what key
keep
you
your
do?
dog.
Just keep your dog at home
Keep
and
your
make sure
dog at
that
home,
they can't
yeah.
get out and run away?
You got it. And, you know, even like if you want to put them in the bathroom during that, because they do act extra like wacky, and, you know, maybe play some jazz for them. Hire a band.
Good
you know?
idea.
It's
Okay.
a celebration for us.
You heard
make
it
a
here
celebration
first.
for them.
Hire a band for your dog. Let it wear Nikes for the Symphony of Fire.
Thank you, Mary Jo. You can subscribe to Best Friends Magazine by visiting their website that is on the screen. Oh, that's the BCSPCA number, but you can go to the website.
Bestfriends.org.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Pick it up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Always nice to see you in
You
Cowboy.
too.
We're
Thank
going to
you.
take a break.